It was March 1940. Stationed in Port Clinton, Ohio, the 37th Tank Company, Ohio's only tank unit, was in short supply of both members and supplies. There were 62 active members and only 2 tanks, which needed overhauled. The local newspaper read, "Tank Company still needs more recruits." On March 29, 1940, local businessmen and civic leaders of the Port Clinton community were invited to a special drill demonstration to promote cooperation and civic interest. At this time, the 37th Tank Company faced the risk of being dissolved if more recruits were not signed up soon. Drill sessions continued to be held on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the Armory, located on Perry Street, with an open invitation to the public. By September of the same year, the 37th Tank Company had proven success with the recruiting process, as it now had the strength of 80 members, including 4 officers. In September, the 37th Tank Company was designated as Company C of the 192nd Tank Battalion. The 3 additional tank companies included Company A from Wisconsin, Company B from Illinois, and Company D from Kentucky. By October 1940, it was rumored that the tank company, which was in jeopardy of being dissolved just a few short months earlier, was going to be mobilized into federal service sometime around Thanksgiving. The rumors became truth as the announcement was made in early November that the 192nd would be sent to training. Their journey began on November 29, 1940. Within a week after the company was inducted into federal service, the soldiers of the former 37th Port Clinton Tank Company marched from the Armory on Perry Street through downtown Port Clinton to the New York Central Depot located between Fulton and Washington Streets. They marched with their eyes forward and their chins held up as the local community lined the streets and cheered for them. These soldiers were determined and committed to defending our country and protecting our freedom. The company boarded a train and headed to Fort Knox. It was here they would complete a year of training in preparation for combat. Additional training was completed at Fort Polk, where the soldiers learned tactics and specialization in the Louisiana maneuvers. After training at Fort Knox and Fort Polk, the unit left for San Francisco and on to Fort Stotsenburg in the Philippines, arriving November 20th, 1941. In the Philippines, Company C supported the Allied retreat on to the Bataan Peninsula, continually battling larger enemy forces, enduring shortages of food, water, and medical supplies, and suffering from disease. On April 9, 1942, at the Fall of Bataan, they were captured by the Japanese. The men of Company C were subjected to the infamous Bataan Death March. Those that survived were held as prisoners of war for 3.5 years. 10 of the 32 local men who left in November 1940 survived the Bataan Death March and the horrors of Japanese imprisonment. Those 32 men from Port Clinton were extremely brave, courageous, and fearless. Many of them didn't ask to leave their homes to fight on distant battlefields. They didn't go to war because they loved fighting. They volunteered to be part of something bigger than themselves. They were ordinary people who responded in extraordinary ways in extreme times. They rose to the nation's call because they wanted to protect a nation which had given them so much. We will never forget the sacrifices they made for our city and our country. In 1957, our local Board of Education made the decision to name our school Bataan Elementary. This school board selected the name for 2 reasons. First, the word Bataan means youth. This symbolizes the children who have attended, are attending, and will attend our school in the past, present, and future years. More important, the name was given to honor and pay tribute to those 32 brave young men who fought for our freedom. Through our annual Bataan Day Ceremony, we will never forget. Death March. I cannot imagine what it was like to be marched until you couldn't take one more step. What were your last thoughts? And if you weren't shot where you fell, you kept on. One foot in front of the other, held captive for 1,224 days before you were liberated. You were one of the lucky ones. We'll never know what you endured. Remain silent. Mark mine. I will never forget what you did for my freedom. Can't ignore your sacrifice. I honor you this day and always. A thank you is not enough for righting the wrongs done to those who served. I'll make sure your voices are heard.
Robert S. Sorensen, Harold W. Collins, Arthur V. Burholt, John G. Colsar, Kenneth E. Thompson, John J. Marine, Olin C. Elwell, Joseph J. Rupshaw, Russell D. Simon, John L. Short, Charles P. Chafin, Wade W. Kyo, John Kovach Jr., Silas B. LeGros, John D. Menier, Jacob A. Schmidt, Howard M. Woodrick, Harold R. Beggs, Alton M. Dodway, James W. O'Brien, Chester S. DeCant, Raleigh S. Harger, Elmer N. Smith, Joseph J. Weirjan, Charles R. Bozier, Steve M. Elias, John R. Andrews, John Michlow, Edward E. Grogg, Joseph W. Beard, Joseph Zam, Virgil C. Janes,